What's the DJ?
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Midday Market Report for Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, week number 2 of good friend and colleague, Mr. Pop DiBiase. Call him the Prime Time Capper, Prime Wave Media, good friend, and the intro. Good friends of ours, Mr. JB the Ticket, the Vegas Scoreboard Express. If he's watching and listening, we say hello. Still wondering where that damn closing bell intro is, but that's for another show anyways. So without further ado, let's bring him in live from L.A. Pop DiBiase in the house.
What's up, world? How's everybody doing this morning? Hope everybody's feeling good, feeling great. I am happy to be here to talk to my man, the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson. How's everything going, brother?
Hey, we survived another weekend. The NFL, which you and I do the NFL Bet Exchange, third year. On a week-to-week, we break down the games, talk about spreads, opening line, closing lines, and give out opinions. And now we're to the Final Four, NFL Championship weekend, which is usually, for me, a better weekend than the actual Super Bowl, because lots of times the Super Bowl doesn't live up to the hype. Are you a this weekend or Super Bowl weekend guy?
I'm like you. I like this weekend more than anything because this one is the put up or shut up game, in my opinion. I feel like when you make the Super Bowl, sometimes you guys say to yourselves, the team will say to themselves, well, at least we made the Super Bowl. They get beat by 30. You know what I mean? And that's you have that right. You have that privilege of saying that you were played in the Super Bowl because you won your conference championship game. Because this game to me is always going to be the toughest game of the season, regardless of who you feel you are. I feel like, in a sense, the Super Bowl might be a pageantry game, in a sense. You know what I mean? It's going to be great. It's going to be good. But if there's a team that's significantly better than the other team, they're probably going to win the game. You know what I mean? But if they're on an even scale, then, we might expect to have us a great game. But usually the stars win these games, and whoever has the star is probably going to win the game. So that's how I always feel. But when it comes down to this, you got to really go in there and win. I feel like it's like that moment in Angels in the Outfield when the Angels say, we can't help you on this one. And that's how I feel when you get to that championship game. We can't help you on this one. You know what I mean? So that's how I'm feeling.
In our last year, you can attest to this. I was the guy talking and touting Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And then we used to have a little, give and take every week when the Bengals games came up. And then I used to give you the tease too about Patrick Mahomes. You were talking about him again last year. Too many commercials put up on that pedestal, and in comes Joe and they take care of business. They go to the Super Bowl. They were within 1/4 of beating the LA Rams last year. Now, I don't want to hear people are starting to say Cincinnati playing the disrespect card. I don't want to hear that. They went in, they took care of business. Joe has it. You know that. I know that. Everybody. He has something about him. He had it in LSU, and unfortunately, my wallet didn't think he had it, and I'm still paying for it. Now he's 60 minutes away. 3-0 lifetime against Patty Mahomes. Patty Mahomes' high ankle sprain, and in football, there's two things you don't want to have: high ankle sprain or turf toe. Line's already at 2.5, creeping to 3. We know we'll never see 3 here. What's the Pops? I guess who's Pops rooting for, first of all? Second of all, it's only Tuesday. Times, we can change this. We can come back on 2 or 3, 4, 5 times before the kickoff. How do you
I'm
see this game playing out?
I'm rooting for whoever the book's rooting for. I was no, but I'm gonna be honest with you. When I break down the analysts of the game, before they even said 2.5, when we were still sitting at actually plus 1.5 to the Bengals, I said this is gonna move to 1.5 fairly soon, and it probably will jump to 2.5 because people are gonna get really, really brave with the Bengals on the top of the week. But as you hear more and more news come out of Kansas City, then possibly if they bump it up to say a 3.5, they heard something. You know what I mean? They heard something where it might not be a go for them or something of that nature. But I still think that they wouldn't raise the spread too crazy here because even with Henny, I know it sounds crazy right now, but even with Henny, they do present a feasible team because Chad Henne's not a bad quarterback. It's just that you guys have to understand there can only be one starter. So a lot of times you could say Chad Henne can start on about 6 teams in the NFL right now. So that's why I say you're not that far off because he still has the playmakers. But I just truly feel that the Bengals have this true attitude about what happened last year. This team got absolutely robbed of the Super Bowl last year. And this is coming from a person who lives in LA, and I was backing the Rams in the Super Bowl as well too, and I felt bad when a team literally has to get 3 different pass interference calls for them to score a touchdown on you. And everything was pretty much saying that no, this is supposed to go the way it's always supposed to go for Matt Stafford, where he messes up at the goal line. But that didn't happen. They literally tried to make sure that the Rams scored a touchdown. And I feel like the Bengals played their hearts out. They probably didn't play that well in the previous 2 Super Bowls that they played in. And those games were close too. Come on. It came down to a last second play in the second one with Montana to Rice. So Montana to Taylor. Let me never get that wrong. It wasn't Montana to Rice, it was Montana to Taylor. So you have a very unique situation. And I would still say that I would have been all over the Bengals coming into this game after that performance anyway. It didn't matter if Mahomes is coming in here with his ankle hurt or with his ankle healthy. I just truly feel like the Bengals have an attitude where they're not scared of what the Chiefs are presenting. They're not in awe of Patrick Mahomes. They're not in awe of Andy Reid. These guys know that they are the hard luck kids. That nobody really choose them to be here. They're the Bungles. You know what I mean? Everybody expects this team to be a joke, and they're not a joke anymore. They got one of the more talented units in the NFL when it comes to the offensive side. They got 2 great running backs. They got 4 great wide receivers. They got 2 great tight ends. Their line is the issue right now, banged up, but they got good backups on that line as well too. And they got probably one of the most unheralded defenses in the NFL. And the reason being is because they do give up their points. They do give up a good amount of points as well too. We know that, but I truly do feel that the Bengals are the team that gets my interest here because Joe Burrow, like you said, is just playing lights out. And I felt like I was a believer before anybody else was a believer his first year at LSU. And they literally were like, oh, if he just needs to hand the ball off, don't even throw the ball. And I said, what do you mean don't throw the ball? The guy can throw. I've seen him throw a bunch of times at Ohio State. And then all of a sudden he has a game where he throws for 500 yards the first game of the year they won a national championship. And they still weren't giving LSU that much credit. And boom, next thing you know, Joe Burrow becomes this new Heisman Trophy winning lead front running candidate and things like that because they finally saw how good he was and how cool he was. But really his teammates were the ones that got him in to the stage, to the forefront to say that, no, Joe leads this thing. Joe gets us going. Joe does what he has to do. Joe is the definition of what a quarterback is. And when you look at him, he's everything what a quarterback's supposed to be from the old times and from the new times. And I just truly feel like when it comes to a guy like Burrow can play in any era when it comes to playing in the NFL. I can't say that about Pat Mahomes. I'm sorry, Jeff. I know you're going to say, oh, you hating and all that stuff, but let's keep it real. You're not getting away with that in the 90s. You're just not because the defensive rules don't – the way defense is played just isn't happening. You spin around and you want to do all this extra stuff. Reggie White couldn't wait to see something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, these guys couldn't wait to see something like that. And they weren't going to get up and pat you on the butt either and say, good job. They were trying to kill you. So I think Burrow would be better built for that situation because he really takes the quarterback position as serious as you're supposed to. And I just really feel like when it all comes down to it, that the Bengals just have their number and they're not scared of the Chiefs. And that's what makes them so dangerous. And that's what makes them the play, in my opinion, coming into this game.
Yeah, and you talked briefly about the Bengal defense, and I've brought this up a ton on the shows from week to week to week. I can't remember the last time the Bengal defense has allowed more than 17 points. It's that 17 or less number. I mean, they only gave up 10 to Buffalo on Sunday, and the Buffalo team total was right around 27. And so, I can see the narrative Monday morning, as Mahomes starts limping around on one foot. It was all because of the ankle, almost like the Super Bowl when Mahomes got run over by the Bucks because he had no O-line. His O-line was hurt and he had turf toe or whatever it was. So it'll be interesting as this progresses. Now, don't forget, going back to the Dallas and Bucks game, everyone was on the Bucks. Why? Well, Tom was 7-0 lifetime against he had beaten him twice as a Bucks starting quarterback. Now here's the narrative, Joe Burrow 3-0 lifetime against Mahomes. Mahomes on one ankle. So that number, we're going to watch it inflate, rise, and rise. But we'll get to that when it gets closer to kickoff there. The second game, fly, Eagles, fly. A dominant performance. Third time divisional game, doesn't matter. Jalen Hurts looks like he's close to 100%. Our Boston Scott anytime touchdown, a plus 380 comes cashing in. Box the wire. 49ers just grinding out a win. We talked before the show started. I thought Kellen Moore was the reason. I thought the offensive play calling was real bad, especially right before the half. Pollard in the tent, 2nd and 2 from the 18. And it's a shotgun, no running back set, turnover. 49ers come down, take a 9-6 lead before the half. The rest is history. How do you see Eagles and 49ers as we get closer to Sunday?
You know what? I'm going to keep it real with you. Out of all 4 teams that won this weekend, the Eagles, if you were to choose a team that was winning the Super Bowl right then and there, it's the Eagles. It's because that team had everything that you wanted to see in a Super Bowl winning team. They had an awesome defense out there. Defense played immaculate. They had an offense that played played out of their mind. Both sides of the ball, when it comes to the big uglies, were absolutely tremendous. And they literally made it a game where it was like, okay, you literally we say teams get beat up on in a game, but the Giants literally got beat up on. It was like literally school's out at 3:30 and dude, you didn't give me your lunch money at 12. So we got a big problem. You know what I mean? That's what type of situation that was. Or you talk bad about my mama. You did something to where you really pissed the Eagles off, because the Eagles did feel a little disrespected because they did hear a lot of people say, oh, it's going to be 2016 all over again. Daniel Jones is even better than Eli because he can run. Dude, everybody was hitting me with the Daniel Jones can run. He excites me. I said that, well, you guys say that the quarterback shouldn't be running so much, and you guys get so mad about guys like Lamar Jackson doing what he does, but then all of a sudden when Daniel Jones runs, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm like, make it make sense. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's the biggest detriment to the Giants, is that you got a running quarterback who kind of takes away from your superb running back. You know what I mean? Because Saquon's a star, and Saquon's kind of held up because he gets so many carries taken away because of Daniel Jones. So that's something that they do have to look at. But they just beat them up, and I think that a lot of us were very surprised by that, because you expected the Giants to be very physical. I expected the game to be like 13-10 or something like that. It was nowhere near that. They were able to move that offense whenever they wanted to. And Jalen Hurts' just leadership is absolutely incredible. That doesn't get talked about enough. They talk about everything else but his leadership. And he was able to keep that team in check. He was even able to keep his coach's excitement in check because Sirianni was losing his mind on the sideline every time there was a big play. So, that's something that just really sticks out to me. The 49ers, I know 49er fans aren't going to want to hear this, but the Cowboys beat themselves more than the 49ers beat them. The 49ers were able to get some pretty good situations where they were able to get turnovers in Cowboy territory, and that led to 2 field goals. And then they were able to have some good drives that led to a few field goals and a touchdown. But they didn't do enough to say to me that that I'm shivering in my boots. I think if I was grading their performance, they would have got a C-. They weren't good on the offensive end, in my opinion. They didn't really have anything called out that was going to surprise the boys. The boys knew everything that was coming. Either you're going to give the ball to Debo, either you're going to get a ball to McCaffrey, or you're going to give the ball to Kittle. It's very predictable what the 49ers are going to do. You know what I mean? And Brock Purdy is a great game manager. He's really great at he's the consummate definition of a great backup quarterback. I know a lot of people get excited about what they see with him, but when you have a defense as great as the 49ers defense, which is like a defense that you can put in the history books of the NFL, when it comes to how their skill level is, you're going to be good because your defense got your back. It's a walk with me defense. That means they literally beat up guys for you to make sure that everything is going to work out. You have a bodyguard for your offense. Your offense doesn't have to do anything but score 17 points probably, or 21 points probably. They scored 19 to beat the Cowboys. So they don't need to score that many points. But what happens when that back end, which is very average at best, the back end of the 49ers, which is their secondary, what happens when they start getting exposed in the game? We've seen this happen a bunch of times this year. We have to remember this team at one point was 5-4. Okay, they weren't world beaters. So if the defense is having a bad day, the offense is going to have a great day. And I don't see that happening. The defense's great days help the offense just do enough to win football games. You know what I mean? Because the defense has done such a great job of getting off the field. That's what a lot of defenses don't do in today's NFL. They don't get off the field and give the offense enough time to actually be a great offense. You know what I mean? So I truly do feel like this one does come out to how the line's going to look. The line is favoring the Eagles, but I would say that it's probably going to wind up being a pick 'em because people are going to say Eagles offense, 49ers defense. But the Eagles have the best of both worlds. So that's what gives them the edge in my book going into this game on Sunday.
Flash last night, big time Laker fan. Obviously you are living in La La Land. I love the move. I've been waiting for you guys. We go back a handful of years ago when LeBron traded all the kids, tried to get that nucleus with him, AD. They bring in Westbrook. It is what it is. Tried to get that, let's win one more before LeBron fades off into the sunset. Give me the thoughts of the trade. I love the trade. Listen, you can get a lottery pick from 2-3 years ago, bring them back to LA, start to groom them, get some youth onto that team. Your thoughts of the trade, Pops?
Well, I think that we were getting a player that was kind of stuck in a traffic jam a little bit there in Washington. He had a lot of people playing the same position as him. And I just know that there was a certain dollar amount that he was requesting, and there was a certain dollar amount that Washington wanted to give up. And they just couldn't meet in the middle because Washington's already cash strapped as is because they have a lot of money invested in Bradley Beal. So that's understandable. And also Kyle Kuzma is just a better player than he is right now at this point. And that's because Kyle Kuzma is a championship player. He won a championship with the Lakers. He also was a very key part to that Laker team, and he's determined to be a certain somebody in the league. He wants to be somebody who's remembered in the league. Now, Rue is a guy that I feel has been under the radar literally the whole time he's been in the league. Even though on being drafted, he was seen as a guy that could possibly be the best player coming into that draft class that he was a part of, which is not the greatest draft class either. At the same time, that's one of the weaker draft classes. If you keep it, if you're really honest about these things, he played at Gonzaga too, so he didn't get to really play against the best of the best. He got to play against sometimes the best of the best, and then they were also a team that didn't go that far in the tournament when he was there as well too. So there's a lot of things that you did. There's a lot of things. I think it's a lot of potential with him to be a really great player, but we have to see it. That's the whole thing. And I think coming to LA, he can realize it, but he's under a lot more pressure than he ever was in Washington. You know, Washington, they were kind of excited. They were hoping that they could get themselves, somebody that could run with Bradley Beal at the time. When they also had Westbrook at the time, they were feeling like they could have a guy that could be their big 6'8" LeBron type, you know what I mean? Something of that nature where you got this big body that can go ahead and do everything out there on the court. And I just think that they didn't have I don't think that it was a good fit. It just didn't seem like a good fit when they drafted him. It just didn't seem like a good fit when you saw him play for them as well too, even though he's had some pretty good games. But has the national media talked about it? I watch NBA TV a lot, and I've barely seen them mention this player. You know what I mean? And so pretty much he's a lottery pick that is kind of, in a sense, in this country. And I know a lot of people will argue with me, well, they know I'm in Japan, but this ain't Japan. This is the US of A, where the NBA is really gold out here. Japan, they're really covering him more in a TMZ paparazzi type feel, where they just want to kind of catch him in the act of doing something. You know what I mean? And what a lot of people have to understand when it comes to players from that continent, they're always going to get, and other athletes, they're always going to get a lot of coverage. There's a guy named Zhang Zhu, who was a little featherweight boxer. When I was in Houston, he won the championship, Chinese guy. And literally the Chinese media, Taiwanese, whatever he was, that media, national media, was covering the fight. And it wasn't a big deal to us because it was just a fight in Houston. But literally, they had a whole TV crew out in the middle of the lobby at the hotel. So I do understand that part. You know what I mean? Like, and they're like, he's on the national news right now, live. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, but they weren't like a big Hollywood group. It was just some people with some cameras and some mics. You know what I mean? So, the international presence is great. I know that a lot of people said that it's possibly a move with tickets. Let me tell you something about the Los Angeles Lakers. They don't have any issues selling tickets. Even when they were a 60-loss team, they still were selling tickets. But because this is Los Angeles and people just like to go to basketball games. So, let's not play the game to where it's going to help the Lakers bottom dollar or something like that, because that's one thing that the Lakers really don't need help with. So this move is to show that the Lakers are serious about making the playoffs, and not just making the play-in, making the actual playoffs. The Lakers are not that far out. I say this every single day. The Lakers are about 3.5 games out from the 6th seed. That's how literally the jam-packed the Western Conference is. From 3 to 13, literally, it's a 6.5 game difference, Jeff. And then when you get down to the play-in portion of it, it's a half a game between those teams that are on the outside looking in on the playoff situation. And then when you get to 5 and 6, literally 7 and 8 could be 5 and 6 tomorrow if they want to. So as I said, as I keep saying on my show, and as I keep saying on State of the Lakers, is that if the Lakers make a nice little run here, which they're pretty much doing this month, because they've only lost 4 games and they've won 8. So, they're making their moves now. And this team was 2-10 at one point. They're now 22-25. So what does that mean? This team is 20 and 15 since that point. There's other teams in the NBA that can't talk like that. That they start off with an 8-2 start and they're sitting at 24-25 right now. And that just goes to show you that we're not judging you in the NBA on your first 10 games of the season. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so the Lakers got off to a slow start, but now they're picking up the pace and they're becoming a much better team as the Western Conference is in a log jam. This is a perfect setup for the Lakers to really be able to be in the actual playoffs, because they just need a nice little streak. That's it. And that's all, because these teams are so inconsistent in the Western Conference, other than Denver and Memphis is even inconsistent. I'll keep it real. They're not that consistent of a team either. Denver's probably the only sure thing you have in the Western Conference right now, because they have the two-time MVP in Jokic. You know what I mean? Two-time back-to-back current MVP as well, too, who's playing absolutely tremendous basketball once again this year. Because you know why I say that Jokic has the same impact as Steve Nash had. It's where you play to the fundamentals so well to the game that they can't deny you. They can't deny you the MVP, because you're really showing everybody how basketball is truly supposed to be played. So that's where those guys really stand out. Even though, you know, Joel Embiid might have a better case. Your guy Tatum might have a better case in Boston as well, too, on the excitement they bring fans. You know what I mean? But when we get down to the bottom line of actually winning basketball games and just going out there and just being as productive as possible and getting your teammates involved, that's why Jokic is the man, and that's why now the Nuggets have came full circle, because now they got Jamal Murray back, who's playing lights out basketball. They got MPJ, a guy that they stole in the draft somewhat, who's playing up to his potential as we speak. And Aaron Gordon is the difference right now, because Aaron Gordon was playing in a bad spot in Orlando. Guys, they're not thinking about winning in Orlando. They're just thinking about the lottery pick and moving this lottery pick and moving this here and moving this there. It's a team of moving parts. So now he's with a team that actually wants to win. So they're playing up to the standard right now there is to be called the best team in the Western Conference. Everybody else is just kind of going through the motions a little bit. Everybody's having injury problems. Everybody's having consistency problems. And a lot of teams just don't have good coaches at the end of the day. Like, literally, the Eastern Conference has a way better group of coaches than the Western Conference, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And even the Lakers coach isn't that good. It's just that LeBron is LeBron, and he's able to get – and they're starting to play. You know what I mean? Because guys are probably starting to get ripped in the club a little bit too much. You know what I mean? And, you know, you can't go outside in L.A. and act like you're going to be able to walk down the street and be a loser on the Lakers. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Those guys, Robert Zachary and Ryan Kelly, they got an excuse because the Lakers were doing something. We knew what they were doing. They were literally trying to figure out when Kobe was leaving, so then they could actually have a functional team, because they were paying Kobe so much money they couldn't pay nobody else. So, you know, the Lakers are now back to where they don't care. They just want to go out there and play the game. And I think that by a lot of teams not taking the Lakers as seriously as they should has helped the Lakers become much better, because there was a good 20-game stretch where they were literally Lakers plus 7 every night after they were 2-10, Lakers plus 6 every night. And then they go on a 6-game winning streak. And then they pop off another 5-game winning streak. You know what I mean? And then AD starts playing MVP type basketball. It's the Lakers I felt like the Lakers weren't able to start slow. They had to start fast so everybody can put their opinion together if the Lakers can win a championship or not. But we've seen this happen in the NBA before, where teams start slow and then they finish very strong. That's why playing 82 games is a mother, because you could be one team in your first 40 games and then you'll be another team in your next 40 games. It goes both ways. So I truly do feel like the Lakers are on the right path right now with making this trade, because there should be another big trade coming right after this. And in my humble opinion, to be honest, you know what I mean? And I think that trade will probably and I said the other day, I said, players that are untradeable at this moment. We all know the big three: AD, LeBron, and Westbrook. They're not going anywhere. But there's 2 other players that are very valuable that I think that the Lakers need to keep around. And this is going to be crazy, because I've been dogging him since the Lakers traded for him. But Pat Bev will be you can't trade Pat Bev. Pat Bev has to kind of stick around for the mental angle to where he can get into guys' heads. He can be used just like how Draymond's used in Golden State, where you just really piss guys off. That's what you do. And then Tommy Bryant. Tommy Bryant has been absolutely incredible whenever he's on. And I think those 5 players right there have been the key to the Lakers getting right where they need to be. And you can add in Schroeder to that, but Schroeder is another good asset to be moved if you want to go ahead and get somebody, get another player that's going to be helpful, say maybe even a center that could be a good rebounder and a good shot blocker as well too. Because that's why I say Schroeder, I would want to say Schroeder was untouchable, but he's not. I say Schroeder is another key asset to another really good trade. Even though he's a really good player and he is needed. He is needed in a sense. But at the same time, they won't be missing much because they still got Westbrook. You know what I mean? And Westbrook now has found his comfort zone. And if you needed somebody to play point or something for you when Austin Reeves comes back, he can do that, And you still got Lonnie Walker as well too. So that's where I say you can live, or either Lonnie Walker or Schroeder can be moved, one or the other. But I would like to keep Lonnie Walker a little bit more because Lonnie Walker he's a ball player. You know what I mean? Schroeder's a guy that can be really good for 10 games and then he can be really bad for 10 games. You know what I mean? So, all in all, the Lakers they're getting it. In La La Land, I will say this. It's a 22-25 record, but it's probably the best 22-25 team that you could be dealing with because I've never seen a team be in this many close games in a season, and literally it could be a different record for the Lakers if they won half these games that they've lost. You know what I mean? So that's how I take it, and that I'll just end it with that.
5-point dogs tonight versus the Clippers. I got a couple question marks on the Lakers for the info. I haven't received the Clippers yet, so we'll wait to see that. Changing gears over to the kids. The top 25 got a big shakeup. Purdue back up to number 1. Arizona losing. Kansas losing. The Zags home winning streak gets broken. My Huskies losing. Houston losing. Talk some UCLA basketball, Pops. I don't see the O'Bannon brothers out there. I don't see Bill Walton out there and some of the Alfreds of the world, but they got a pretty good damn team right now. And sitting right near the top at the Pac-12. What are you feeling for the Bruins this year?
The Bruins. Right now, the Bruins would have been sitting pretty at number 1 in the nation if they would have been able to beat Arizona this weekend. I think that the voters would have said, you know what, UCLA is the toughest team in the nation. They've proven that they're that good. They would have been coming in there on a 14-game winning streak as well too. So you wouldn't be able to deny UCLA the number 1 spot in the nation. Now, they didn't. What happened was that they had a game where they finally had a dud. You know what I mean? Because UCLA has played so good in conference play. Even in a game that they played last week against Colorado the week prior, Colorado was actually up going into the half. UCLA was like, okay, shut it down, and went ahead and beat them by 12, went ahead, covered the spread, everything, beat them by 15. And we're losing by 6 going into the half. And then they did literally the same thing to Arizona State. Arizona State's up 5 points Arizona was up 5 points with about under 10 left to go in the game. It was 47-40. I think they was up 6. It was 53-47 Arizona State. You look up, the Bruins went on a 27-9 run to close that game out. You know what I mean? That's how good this team is when they lock it up defensively, because they do that throughout the whole game. But they never stop playing, Jeff. They never stop playing. That's the whole thing. And these teams are always going to be in a game. It was literally, think about it, Jeff. They were down, I think about 8 points there in the last 90 seconds and moved it all the way to, then were able to get it all the way. They were down maybe possibly 11. And, that's really just junk time. Guys just shoot free throws. It's over with. UCLA, the game's not over for us yet. We're going to keep playing. We're going to, you know what I mean? And they wound up having it to where they were all almost about to come back. I think they were down 2 at one point. on that stretch drive to try to get back into the game. That showed me right there that this team, it didn't matter that they lost this game. They just had they just couldn't get into their rhythm until late. And it's okay. It's okay because they needed that type of game so Mick can coach. You know what I mean? Belichick, one thing about Bill Belichick that a lot of people don't know or they just don't bring it up. Belichick even said this. He said, when we're playing so good, I love when we lose a game because I can go ahead and watch the tape and I can really see the mistakes that we've been making and what do we truly need to fix. You know what I mean? Because we've been getting away with stuff for X amount of weeks, but once I see where we're having our issue at, once we lose with that issue, now I can go ahead and exploit that issue. And I think that's exactly what Mick Cronin wants. I think that all in all, Amari Bailey is a very good freshman, 5-star freshman, played with Bronny James over at Sierra Canyon. He's more of a luxury than anything, but he would have been a very good luxury for that Arizona game. So hopefully he gets back this week so UCLA can really be on a level to where they have that extra defender out there, that extra scorer out there to kind of make up for Tiger Campbell and Jaime when those guys, and also Jalen Clark when they're not, getting the buckets that they need to be getting. Because if they had probably Amari in the game as well too, he probably would have been able to get about 10, 12 points to be the difference in that game as well. That could have been a signature game for him because he's a guy chasing the NBA. And when you play your rivals, those are the games that the scouts really look at. They would be like, is he really good? Is he really somebody that is ready for the next level? But I would say this: it doesn't matter if you're a 5-star in high school anymore because college basketball is just too damn good for you to think that you're going to come in here and be Kevin Durant and Kevin Love and Derrick Rose and all that stuff. Those days are gone. Those days of the super duper AAU player coming in and being the best player in college basketball, those days are over with. I haven't heard of. They haven't mentioned freshman superstar all season, Jeff. Not one. Not one. They don't even mention stars anymore in college basketball. It's just guys on teams now. And it's it. You know what I mean? Because come on. Nobody even made it a highlight that the player of the year came back to college basketball to play on Kentucky. I didn't even realize that till UCLA played Kentucky because they're all so quick to jump to the league and they've been handing it to guys who are sophomores and freshmen for the last decade. Like, why you guys keep doing that? You know what I mean? They're not the best player in the nation because none of them led their teams to national championships except for Anthony Davis. You know what I mean? So it's just, I'm glad that college basketball is returning back to what college basketball is supposed to be. You know what I mean? It's a fun basketball game. Get the business angle out of it. And that's why UCLA is one of the top tier teams because they have a lot of veterans in that group. Literally everybody who's a top player in that group is a senior. And if you're a freshman person or something of that nature, you don't start. Only person that was a freshman that started was Bailey, and that's because preferential treatment. You know what I mean? That was a part of the deal to bring you here. But that doesn't mean I'm going to coach you any different, though. There is no, that's what makes UCLA special. Mick coaches everybody the same exact way. Nobody is above anybody on that team. You know what I mean? And even Amari Bailey starting, he had to earn that spot. You know what I mean? He earned the spot to start. It wasn't that you was entitled to do it or his pretty mother came over there and told Mick something he liked to hear, you know what I mean? Because and we know that's possibly a reason why the kid's kind of holding back on playing too. They say it's a foot injury, but you know how it goes, Jeff, when you're chasing that NBA. You try to do as little as possible to get to the NBA because they've given you all these promises. You know what I mean? I.e. Clutch Sports and all these agents who feel like they have insights. But let me tell you kids something that I know. That the NBA general managers and NBA execs can't stand agents. So they'll tell them anything just to get them the hell off of their phone. That's it. You know what I mean? They're not ever going to tell them the absolute truth about a kid. They're always going to say they love the guy. But that's just say get off my phone, man. I'm not worried about that right now.
Take your fade betting. says take the Clippers first half. Leonard and George both playing. It's kind of funny. Usually that team litters my spreadsheet with info on who's in, who's out, and they currently have nothing on them right now. So I would assume both are playing there. Pops is a full slate of college. We were just breaking down UCLA in college. I know you have another show that you'll be getting ready for. People watching and listening, where are you eyeing for some potential NBA and college hoop plays tonight?
I really do like. I haven't put everything together yet because I usually have my bets list out, and I usually have the super high five as well too. But I am looking at the Lakers game tonight. I think that the over under play is a very 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 strong play there in that spot. Also, if you like a dog tonight, I truly will say this: the best dog that I see tonight, to be honest with you, is crazy, but I see a lot of fight tonight in LaSalle. Even though Davidson hasn't been good at all this season, but LaSalle, Philly squad, I think A10 is always, when you get that number 5, sometimes with an A10 home team, it's usually a good sign in a sense. And if I was going to look at a game that a lot of people will probably have, let me look at my phone just real quick, because I don't have that stuff like right in front of my face, so I have to look at something real quick. But in NCAA, I will say this: the game of the night has to be the game in the Big 12, which is going to be between because we got 2 top 25 teams going at it. So this team, let me get here, because the Big 12 is the best conference, but the game between Kansas State and Iowa State, that's the most intriguing game. What kills me is that you got 2 top 10, you got 2 really good Big 12 teams, and they're playing the game on ESPNU, Jeff. ESPNU, brother. You know what I mean? And they're actually showing more love to a game between unranked Illinois and Ohio State. But, they got to get their Big Ten games in because they don't have the Big Ten contract like that no more. So, that's ratings, baby. You got to go with who gets you the ratings. But in that game tonight, I like Oklahoma State. Even though TCU has been them boys, yeah, TCU possibly right now is the best team in the pack in the Big 12. They beat all the big boys in the Big 12. But this is a tough road game tonight against Iowa State. It's really tough to win at Ames, even for teams like Kansas and Baylor and all those other teams that are top teams in the conference as well. So I want to take TCU tonight, but I feel like they can cover, but they're probably not going to win the game. It's going to wind up being a really, really good game. And then in the NBA tonight, this is a game that I feel like could possibly be a walk for anybody tonight if they want it. Suns. I know Suns they've been playing atrocious basketball this month, but they've won their last 3 in a row. And I think that this will be a game that really eases up a little bit, because they got 3 wins in a row against Brooklyn, the Pacers, and Memphis. All those teams are playoff teams. So they got easy out tonight against Charlotte. All those games were pretty close. Tonight, I think that they work it out because there's no LaMelo there for Charlotte. I think that Phoenix wins that game by 10 or better, to be honest with you. So there goes some games for you guys tonight.
Pops, the crawler's been going the whole time on the Twitter, as you say, at Pop DiBiase at Prime Wave Media. You are known as the Primetime Capper. As I always close out our shows, the stage is yours. Tell everyone where to follow you, where they can find you, live, post, Memorex, wherever it is.
All right, you guys can catch me on the Twitter at Pop DiBiase, as it says. You guys can also see my many pictures and vids. If you guys want to know exactly who I am, you guys can go on Instagram and go to DiBiaseWave_. Also, you guys can check out all my videos and all my good interviews either on Fanatics View by typing in Pop DiBiase Fanatics View, or you guys just go to the Prime Wave Media channel and you guys can see all my past shows and all my great interviews and all that good stuff, and a whole bunch of NFL bet exchanges as well too with my man the Don of Cape Cod as well too. So you guys can catch me on that. And if you guys are interested in being exclusive clients for the Primetime Sports Investors, you guys can DM me on the Twitter or IG, or you guys can email me at primewavemedia@yahoo.com. So there it is. There it is.
The one and only Pop DiBiase.
Yes, bro.
Tuesdays, 1 o'clock my time, 10 a.m., bright and early LA time, coming on with us at ECSI at 3:30.
Be up in LA at 10 a.m., Jeff. You know that. On a Tuesday, you better be up, because if you still sleeping, you still sleeping. You sleeping on the streets. You know that, Jeff.
At 3:30, I'm going to stay in LA with Ron from A Sports. He will join us talking some more NFL. And then at 4:30, 4:45, I'm going to jump over to Chicago with Riley for the closing bell and grab a quick break, hopefully. And then at 9 o'clock, Brady Tinker live from Dallas and the Sportsbook Conventions to end the day here. So everyone, enjoy the afternoon. Grab some lunch, grab some brunch. Reach out to Pop or myself on the Twitter with any questions, comments, concerns. Otherwise, we will see you soon. As Pops likes to say, toodles.